Konnichiwa everybody, welcome back to another episode. And just August is almost over, which was Nintendo month, in case you didn't know. I've not done much Nintendo game playing during August, unfortunately. It's been so busy. So I thought I'd just sneak in at the end of the month with a Nintendo themed video. And a lot of you might want to switch off now because I'm going to talk about the Wii, as you've probably guessed in the title. Much maligned system, the Wii, and perhaps rightly so. I must admit, this generation of consoles is when I fell out of love with gaming in general, really, for a few years. I was not a fan of the Wii, the 360 or the PS3, if I'm honest. I had them all, but I never had more than 6 or 10 games for any of them at the time. And like I say, I fell away from gaming a bit at that point. But in recent years, I've kind of got back into all of them to varying degrees. But the Wii is by far my favourite of this generation. Laugh now. A lot of people won't believe that, but for me it's true. Yes, there is an awful lot of shit on the Wii, as there is on most consoles to be fair, but the Wii is known for having lots of shovelware, which it has, without doubt it has. Because obviously it was marketed at a younger generation and families, and you know, it was mega successful. But there are a lot of like party and shovelware games. But if you look beyond that, there are some real good titles on the Wii, and personally I can see them being quite valuable in the future when more people realise what a great console the Wii actually was. I mean, I still don't like the motion controls, to be fair, though they have grown on me a bit. So I do, you know, I don't really play games that use the motion controls that often. So I'm going to move pretty quickly on this video. I mean, I've got quite a substantial Wii collection now. I primarily started buying it because it was so cheap, with the thought that one day, you know, it's Nintendo, it's going to rise in price. But doing that then switched me on to the console actually being quite a lot better than I initially thought it was, and now I think quite a lot of it. So I'm not going to dwell on any of these games. I'm going to just try and, I mean, I've got quite a few here to, you know, it's just going to be like quick shows, you know, in case you're not aware of some of these games. And I've kind of grouped them into genres, you know, in case, you know, you might not be interested in a certain genre. So, that being said, we'll crack on. So, first of all, it's not a genre I'm into really, but I have got a few. And that's like the adventure role-playing game genre. And so, Little King's Story. I couldn't tell you much about that. Sam and Max, I think that's kind of a, not quite point and click, but that kind of thing. And then we've got Back to the Future. Now I do think this is really quite good actually. And then we've got two like murder mystery themed games, two Agatha Christie games, and then there were none, and Evil Under the Sun. I did complete that back in the day actually. That was one of the few games I had. Played that with the wife and really quite enjoyed that. Right, then we've got fighters. Now it's not a great system for fighters, I've got to say. However, I've got, I don't know, about half a dozen here. We've got a Sega title, Tournament Legends. It's a 3D arena style fighter. I can't remember much about that. We'll leave that one till last. Then we've got two Dragon Ball titles. Not really my bag. I'm not a fan of Dragon Ball games really, but again, I bought these because they were cheap, and who knows one day. But if that's your bag, you know, maybe for you. Then we've got, this is quite a funky little title, 3D dinosaur fighting, kind of like 3D Primal Rage, as I remember. Again, all these are so cheap if you want to pick them up now. I will sort of say if there's anything that's particularly pricey. These two I picked up quite recently, if you saw my pickups video, and we've got two Guilty Gear games. Fantastic fighting series. Really getting into this. Although these aren't the best versions I've played, you know, if you want to play a fighter on a Wii, you can't go wrong with them, really. And then, probably the best fighter on the Wii, and unfortunately it's a Wii exclusive, and that's Tetsunoko vs Capcom. This is a great game. Tetsunoko is Battle of the Planets from back in our childhood. Boys and girls of a certain age like me. It's such a shame it's locked on the Wii, really. I really want the Wii arcade stick to play this properly. But nevertheless, definitely the best fighter on the Wii. There is a Soul Calibur game I've had once, which I wish I'd kept. I will pick that up again in the future. There aren't that many Wii games I want, to be honest, but there's probably a dozen or so I'm still looking for. And I've kind of bunched this next bundle into a kind of a quirky, only on the Wii bundle, if you like. And we've got, first of all, we've got Rock Band. Obviously this is on other consoles I know, so that kind of puts my category into the pan straight away, doesn't it? I've actually got all the Rock Band games on the Wii. Love these games. This being the best one. And you can get these with themed guitars from each members of the band, which I have actually got. So fantastic. You can't go wrong with what Rock Band. Then I'm not sure if this is a Wii exclusive, but anyway, it's Paintball, which is what it says on the tin. 3D paintball, quite good fun, and that's really, I think that's a quid in CX. Then we've got Battalion Wars. This is kind of a sequel to Advance Wars on the Game Boy, in 3D. Don't get a lot of love. I thought it was alright, to be honest. And then this is a real Wii only thing, Endless Ocean. They're really relaxing game, sort of deep sea diving. Really quite nice. There is a sequel to this I need. And then we've got two here in the same series, Trauma Centre, which is both Atlas games, which is basically operating on patients in a hospital. Really quirky, but both good fun, to be honest, and both cheap. And then we've got Sega Bass Fishing. So if you've played the Dreamcast version, you know what to expect here. And then another Dreamcast sort of port, if you like, Samba de Amigo. Love this on the Dreamcast, but it's very expensive these days. So this is a much cheaper option should you want to play Samba de Amigo. Highly recommended. What a great game. It's just not as good as the Dreamcast. In a similar vein to Bass Fishing, we've got Rapala's Fishing Frenzy. This is a nice box version with a fishing rod controller. I think there's another version of this actually, which I'm sure Russ, the Mighty Retro Bear, has got. I'm sure I've seen him show a different version to that. Then we've got Let's Tap. This is a Sega game which I had brand new back in the day and really quite liked. This is sealed. I do actually want another one of these to play because I'm not going to unseal this. It's a really quirky game where you use cardboard boxes and tapping on the boxes to control, and the boxes moving the remote controls the game. Real good fun. That's Let's Tap. Right, then we've got a few sports titles. I mean, don't generally buy many sports games. You can obviously get the shitty FIFAs and that kind of rubbish, but these are the ones I've got. And we've got three golf games. We've got We Love Golf. Now these are all like cutesy, cartoony, everybody's golf style games, all really good. Super Swing Golf, and what's this one called? Pang Your Golf with Style. Now one of these is, I think it's that one. That's the sort of unofficial Mario Golf on the Wii, because there's no Mario Golf. But that was made, I'm sure it's this one that was made by the same people, so in effect that's Mario Golf on the Wii. Then we've got GI Jockey 2008, one of Glen, GALOWAY Gaming's favourites. Classic horse racing game, can't go wrong. And the ever classic NBA Jam. Obviously in more fancy 3D graphics this time. Another great game. Right. These are puzzle type games. Now I've got some other puzzle games, but I've just picked out a few here. So we've got Rimper, which is like a marble, controlling a marble in a maze game, similar to Monkey Ball, really. Excellent. And then there's a sequel to that called Balance Challenge. And then we've got one of the best games on the Wii for me. Absolutely love this game. I've mentioned it before. Ivy the Kiwi. Not that cheap, this one. I think you're talking 20 quid plus. But a stunning game. I'm sure this is the one made by Yuji Naka. Anyway, great game. Yeah, it says on the front actually, from the creator of Sonic. Brilliant game. And then similar to Rimper, we've got Mercury Meltdown. So instead of controlling a marble, it's a ball of mercury. And then we've got, we'll put these two together, Boom Blocks. Steven Spielberg had something to do with these, God knows what, but they are both fantastic puzzle games, kind of similar to Jenga in a way. Brilliant, and both are cheap. And then we've got the effervescent Tetris. Can't go wrong with Tetris, can you? Right, next we've got a few shooters. Now the Wii isn't great for shooters, to be honest, but at least not the PAL version. There are a few import. I'll get to import stuff in a future episode. But anyway, Geometry Wars Galaxies. Now obviously this is on quite a few systems, but it's a great game. You know, just a modern version of Mindstorm on the Vectrex, or what's the proper one called? Galaxians. Excellent. And then we've got, this is kind of a proper shooter, Blastworks. This isn't that cheap. I think this is around 20 quid. But good game. And then now this one's rised in price quite a bit, and rightly so. It's excellent. And we've got Sin and Punishment, made by Treasure, obviously. Sequel to the N64 version, which is a Jap exclusive. Fantastic games. You really, if you've got a Wii, you really need Sin and Punishment. Picked this one up recently, Heat Seeker, sort of arcadey, aeroplane flight combat game. Quite good. A pound again. Now this is kind of a more simplistic, childlike version of Pilot Wings. Again, cheap. Don't get very good reviews, but I quite like it. And then this one again is not particularly cheap, and we've got Counterforce, and this is again quite good. It's similar to Sin and Punishment in that it's a 3D shooting game. Not that common, but very, very good. Counterforce. I didn't actually realise there was a PAL version of that, because I was looking for the import one and then found a PAL one by complete chance. Right. These are kind of old school platformy style games. And first up we've got Wreck-It Ralph. Now this is quite a good game, as I remember. Just the controls aren't brilliant. It kind of spoils the game, because otherwise it's very good. Rampage, Total Destruction. I was never a fan of the original Rampage, but I really, really like this, and it's got the original built in, and that is cheap. That's a bargain. I must buy, I'd say. This is not such a cheap one. Again, this is 20 quid or so, I think. Boy on his blog, update to the NES Classic. Very good. Another 2D platform game, Yogi Bear. Again, don't get very good reviews. I think it's good. This is good as well. Again, this is around the 20 quid mark, I think, unless it's gone up. Bit Trip Complete. Real funky sort of techno soundtrack, as I remember. Really visually nice. Kind of a quirky, unusual game. Like a rhythm style game. Very, very good. A definite must buy, I would say. Again, this isn't that common. I've got a feeling this might be it's PAL, but a European exclusive possibly, and that's Line Rider, where you have to draw lines to control your sort of skier down the course. It's quite difficult, but it's a good quirky title. And then we've got Batman the Brave and the Bold. Again, I remember this being good. It's been some years since I played this, but I'm sure it was good. Now this is a classic. Many people have mentioned this. That's Muramasa. Lovely art style, 2D hack and slash style game. Very, very good. And then again, this is another quite a rare game, and it's similar to Line Rider, and that's Max and the Magic Marker. And again, you have to guide your character across the screen using the remote. Would only work on the Wii or Wii U, I suppose. But again, it's really rather quite a good game. It's a shame really that the Wii wasn't HD like the 360 and the PS3. But of course you can play it with slightly enhanced graphics on the Wii U if you've got one. Right, next, these are horror style games. Perhaps not a genre you'd associate with the Wii. And I was trying to sort of accumulate the full horror set in a Geordie slasher style, just the Wii version rather than the PS2. I've got most of them. There's still one or two I need. But anyway, first up, One Chambara. You can get this on other consoles, obviously. You know, fairly gratuitous walk along hack and slash with violence and weapons, you know, scantily clad ladies. What more could you want, really? You know, win-win. And then we've got Dead Space Extraction. Now I know there's other Dead Space games. This is the only one I've actually played. Very, very good. Thoroughly recommend that one. And then we've got the classic Alone in the Dark. Obviously, this is the Alone in the Dark was the original horror game. This is an updated version, obviously. And then we've got Project Zero 2. Now this one's quite pricey. I think this could be around the 50 quid mark. I can't remember. But Project Zero's good games, aren't they? And then we've got the classic Silent Hill Shattered Memories. I mean, it's very good to say the least. And the remote works as a torch. It's really well done on the Wii. And then we've got Disaster Day of Crisis. More of I don't know. It's more of an adventure sort of horror stuff. I don't know if you call it horror, but anyway, it's that kind of thing. This guy's having a bad day, and it is quite good as I remember. This one I particularly like, Cursed Mountain. I mean that Disaster's good as well, but I do particularly like this one as well. This is more, you know, more isolated. You know, stuck on a mountain. It's really good. And then we've got the classics, Resident Evil 0 and 1. We've got Manhunt 2. And then, I can't remember this one, Escape from Bug Island. Can't remember what that's like. And then, this was quite good as I remember. Hacking down a load of zombies, Dead Rising. And then we've got another one that's not that common or cheap, and that's Due on the Grudge. I think this is around 20 to 30 quid. I think it's more your psychological horror. you know, because of the exclusivity and the rarity, you can imagine that's going to be dear one day. Right, we'll go racing games next, and again, the Wii perhaps not known for that many racing games. There are quite a few decent ones, to be honest. We've got Sonic and Sega All-Stars Racing. I mean, these are the only modern Sonic games worth playing, in my opinion. I don't like the new Sonic racing game on the current gen consoles. I thought that was crap. But this, and particularly the Wii U version, excellent. Another fantastic racing game, Excite Truck. Again, this is cheap and a must buy. Fantastic arcade racer, brilliant. We've got Sonic Riders. Can't remember much about this one, to be honest, but I seem to remember it was okay. This is a great game. Trackmania, not particularly common. I think it's around the 20 quid mark on eBay, as I remember, but absolutely brilliant. This was a surprise. Again, cheap, really quite good. More of a racer. It's not your typical Tony Hawk's game. It's a downhill racer. Really good. Tony Hawk's Downhill Jam. And then we'll put these two together. Both good snowboarding games. That's Shaun White, Snowboarding Road Trip and World Stage. And then we've got two Ferrari games. Again, both decent. They are on other platforms, but decent on the Wii as well. This, I can't remember this. I've just grabbed these out of the box and I can't remember playing this, but that's Crash Car Racer. No idea. I can't remember what it's like at all. But I'm sure that's quite rare. I can't remember what price I paid, but I'm sure you don't see that very often. I should have said all these are complete, except one, which the only one I'm missing the manual for is one Chambara. Next up we've got Cruising, and I think this is in the same series as like Cruising USA and Cruising World and all them. Sure, this isn't very well regarded, but again I thought it was really quite good. Then we've got Emergency Mayhem. Now there's two very similar. There's another one. This is the Codemasters one, Emergency Mayhem. Great arcade. I wouldn't call it a race. It's a driving game more than a racing game. Kind of getting from one point in the city to the next. A bit like Crazy Taxi, I suppose, in a way. Very good. And again, it's cheap. Then again, this one's really good. GT Pro Series. More of a straight up racing game. It's not like Gran Turismo, don't get me wrong, but it's more simplistic. And the better for it, in my opinion. Cracking game, GT Pro Series. That's possibly the best racer on the Wii, maybe. This is also very good, Need for Speed Nitro. This is another rare one, and that's Pacoyo Racing, and it's more of it's a childish kart racer, but you don't see this very often. I think I paid a bit for this, to be honest. So this might be 40-50 quid, I can't remember. But it's certainly not one you see very often. And it's okay, it's nothing special. Then we've got Colin McRae Dirt 2. I mean, it is what it is. This is another good cheap game. Nothing amazing, but good. Speed Racer. That's only like 1 or 2 quid. And then we've got Hot Wheels Track Attack. Quite a few of these Hot Wheels games are good. And kind of over the top, as I remember, a bit like the new Cruising, what's it called? Cruising Blast. Good as I remember. And we've got Who Doesn't Love Wacky Races? Best cartoon ever made. I'm not sure it's as good as the Wii version. Sorry, not the Wii version. The Dreamcast version. It's got a more side-on perspective, makes it a bit more difficult to control, but it's a good fun game. This is the other one like that, Emergency Mayhem, and it's Emergency Heroes. This one's by Ubisoft. Very similar principle, getting from one point in the city to another on like ambulance, fire and police emergencies. Really good and cheap. And then we've got, there's more of these. I've got 2 Cars games, and you know, although it's a Disney for kids, you know, every Cars game I've played has been good, and these are no exception. Really good for the money, and mostly they're cheap. I think there are 1 or 2 that are pricey. Right, next up, these are like 3D adventure platform, call it what you will, but 3D based games. Brilliant, this Mad World, absolutely beautiful art style in black and white, the only colour being red, which is the blood. I can't understand why this is still dirt cheap. This surely will be a classic one day. Absolutely brilliant, and it's by Sega. What more could you ask for? Talking of Sega, Knights. I'm sure you've played Knights. You know, it's pretty good on the Wii. It's not the Saturn version, but nevertheless, one to buy. There's been a modern one of this recently on the Switch, hasn't there? No More Heroes. I don't remember much about this, to be honest, but I seem to remember it was good. There is a sequel to that which I'm looking out for. Then we've got Akami. Been released on lots of different things, but I particularly like this one because it's in a nice slipcase. And then I picked this up recently, much for the same reason. That's Conduit, again in the nice slipcase. Quite well regarded, this one, and there is a sequel to this. I will pick that up if I see it as well. This is one that was cheap and surprised me. Real Heroes Firefighter, and the clues on the box: you are a firefighter putting out fires. But really quite enjoyed this, cracking little game. Again, I bought this for my nephew back in the day, and I ended up playing it myself because I thought it was quite good, and that's Avatar, The Burning Earth. And again, much in the same vein, I bought this for my nephew and ended up playing it myself. That's Ben 10, Alien Force, Vilgax Attacks, whoever he is, he must be in Ben 10, I don't know. But all the Ben 10 games I've played are quite good, to be fair, even on the Wii U. This one's quite well regarded, Overlord, only about a £5, I think. Real good fun, sort of, got a lot of good humour in this kind of hack and slash style game, really good. The sequel to that on other systems, I believe. Where the Wild Things Are, I don't know if this is based on something, but it's a really sort of fantasy 3D platform style game. Really surprised me. Again, that was a £1, I think. You know, not a bad game at all. Indiana Jones, Staff of Kings. This was really good. Kind of a Tomb Raider style game, as I remember. But again, cracking one to pick up. Similar vein. Tintin. Wasn't expecting a lot. I really quite like this as well. Again, it's a familiar theme here. We've got Disney's Up. Cracking little 3D platform game. Obviously aimed at kids, but like a lot of these games are, but I like them. So I don't know what that says about me. I'm obviously a big kid, as most of us probably are, to be honest. Not bad at all. Phineas and Ferb, again aimed at kids, but decent little blast. This one, I've got in my mind this is really, really good. I'm sure this is the one that's really good. I don't presume it's based on some cartoon or something. Generator Rex. You're this guy with these massive arms, as I remember, and it's kind of a, like I say, it's a 3D platform game, but kind of a more of a beat 'em up element to it. Really, really good, as I remember that one. Ghostbusters, obviously it's on other platforms. Pitfall, like a 3D update of Pitfall, and it's also got a bonus of having the original 2 games locked in it somewhere. I've never found it. I've never played it enough to unlock them. These next 2 surprised me. Really good. The Blob 1 and 2. These have obviously been ported to current systems for some reason, but perhaps rightly so. These are really good. You know, you control a blob and you're painting stuff within the level to change the colours. I mean, it sounds a bit rubbish, but honestly, really good games, to be honest. And I'm sure these are dirt cheap as well, even on modern, brand new systems. And we've got a Konami game, LEDs, which is where you're controlling, I forget who you're controlling, but you're running around the level collecting these LEDs characters. Really good, as I remember. In a similar vein, this is more of a 3D platformer, Dewey's Adventure, again Konami game. I think those 2, you know, 5 to 10 quid, something like that. Really good. This one's quite well thought of and going up in price. Mushroom Men, I think that's about a tenner. Again, another 3D platformer, but really well done, and that's another good game. I'm sure this is on other systems as well. Marvel Ultimate Alliance. And then this is an original release, I believe, and then the sequel. We've got Red Steel 1 and 2. Kind of, what would you call it? Like a samurai. Well, you're kind of killing stuff. It's 3D, running around killing stuff with swords, but you use the Wii remote as the sword. I seem to remember the second one's much better because it uses Motion Plus. But I'm sure they're fairly cheap. The second one's dearer, but worth getting. And then this is an absolute classic in my opinion, and again it's unbelievably cheap, and it's Zack and Wiki. Capcom game, looks beautiful, works great, fantastic game. You know, who knows, this could be 20-30 quid one day. I'm sure I paid £1 for this. Absolutely fantastic game, and honestly, if you've got a Wii, that's a must own in my opinion, Zack and Wiki. Right, we're nearly there. Now I've left this section till last because I think this is probably the best reason to own a Wii. You've probably noticed I've not shown any like Nintendo first party games, because they're kind of obvious. I thought I might do a video in the future just on the, you know, the first party Nintendo games, you know, just them on their own. So, the best reason to own a Wii. Any thoughts? What haven't I showed? You might have said to yourself. Well, yep, you've guessed it. It's light gun games. Now, who doesn't love a light gun game? They're one of my favourite genres. Absolutely love them. Unfortunately, it's a genre. Put my teeth in. It's a genre that's more or less dead today. Unless you go to the arcade, where that's one of the few modern arcade games that you still see, rather than all this gambling crap. You know, there are 1 or 2 light gun games still in arcades and very little else. But the Wii was the last home console that really, you know, utilised this genre of game, in my opinion. Aside from the odd one on the PS3 and the Switch, obviously. But, you know, they don't control as well as the Wii games. So, we've got, and to be honest, all these are good. And worth buying a Wii just to play these if you like light gun games. A Wii's a must buy if you like a light gun game. Resident Evil, The Umbrella Chronicles. Obviously, it's Resident Evil. Blasting zombies. What more could you want? And then we've got House of the Dead Overkill. Classic Sega. House of the Dead's brilliant. Again, you know, fantastic. And in the same vein, we've got House of the Dead 2 and 3 Return. Compilation of 2 and 3 on one disc, obviously. I'm sure there's a few extras as well. But I can't remember. But you can't go wrong anyway. I think all these are, you know, around the £10 or less mark. This one isn't. Unfortunately, this one's gone quite expensive. And this is my original copy from back in the day when I had it new. Very few of my original, like I said, I only had 6 or 10 games, and this was one of them. And that's Gunblade New York and LA Machine Guns. Both Sega coin-ops, as you can see on the back of the box. I think this is around 40 to 50 quid these days. Now this didn't come out on any other consoles I'm aware of, so it's the only way to play these. But classic Sega light gun arcade shooters. You can't go wrong, you know. You just can't go wrong. It's a must buy if you like light gun games, obviously. Then there's a few of these. I haven't got all these. This is Cabela Survival. I think there's a few hunting and survival style games. I don't mind these, but they're not as good as the arcade light gun games. This is classic sort of mid-90s arcade. Well, it's rubbish really, but it's good rubbish. And that's the Mad Dog McCree collection, which is Mad Dog 1, 2 and the Bounty Hunter. I've never actually played the arcade version, but I had this on the 3DO back in the day, and the CDI for that matter. And you know, it's just an interactive video really, but it's so cheesy and so naff. It's good. Mad Dog 2 was better, but on the Wii, you know, again, this is a must buy in my opinion. I think it's around 10 quid. Don't hold me to that. It might not be, but it's not a fortune. This one's cheap, and we've got Nerf Strike. You can get this in a pack with a gun. I've just got the standalone game, but it's good. A similar simplistic fun game, Chicken Shoot. I've got a feeling there's another chicken game as well. It's a good laugh, honestly. And then we've got the other Resident Evil, the Dark Side Chronicles. More of the same really. Fantastic. Then we've got one I picked up recently, which you might have seen in my last pickups video, and that's Western Heroes. This is fantastic, I've got to say. It looks and plays brilliant. The downsides are it's easy, and there is, unfortunately, as I referred to in the last video, there is a bug in the game whereby when you get to the last level, sort of 70% of the time it could crash and cause a loud buzzing noise, and the only way you can rectify the problem is switch your Wii off and start again. But apparently, you know, sort of 30% of the time it does allow you to finish the game. Unfortunately, it hasn't allowed me to do so yet. But that aside, this game is fantastic. Again, you can get this in a box with a gun, which I would like, but it's a lot more money. So, should the opportunity arise, I will pick that up in the future. Now, the last game, I've left this till last on purpose because, frankly, I think this is the best game on the Wii. It's a stunning game. It's made by Sega, as you might expect from me. It's a light gun game. I'm sure you all know, if you're into your Wii games, I'm sure you know what's coming. It's Ghost Squad. This game is absolutely brilliant. Fantastic Sega arcade light gun shooter. You know, much like Virtua Cop, House of the Dead, only it's set in a, you know, a police setting. It is absolutely brilliant, honestly. Again, this is my original copy from brand new back in the day. Used to play through this with the wife. You know, we both loved it. It's absolutely brilliant, and it's still fantastic to this day. I wouldn't say it was the best light gun game ever made. I mean, I don't think it's as good as Time Crisis, but that's just my opinion. You know, it may be better than, you know, what. It don't matter. Everybody's opinion's different, and it don't matter what anybody's opinion is. It's just how it appeals to you. But personally, this is the best light gun game on the Wii, and the best game on the Wii in my opinion. Absolutely fantastic, a definite must buy, and it is really cheap as well. So there's no excuse not to buy that game. So there we go. A quick rush through some great reasons to buy a Wii. It's a great console. Don't overlook it. Don't dismiss it. Buy it now while it's still relatively dirt cheap. There are some dear games, yes, but on the whole, it's very cheap to collect for. And there are some stunningly good games on it. And who knows, in the future, that could all be worth, or lots of them could be worth, a shed load of money. That's not my total collection, but I've just tried to pick out some highlights and some good stuff maybe you weren't aware of. I might do, you know, like I say, I'll do all the Wii videos in the future of the Nintendo IPs, and also do an import Wii section, because I've got a few import Wii games. But there we go anyway. I hope you found that interesting and entertaining. If there's any good Wii U games of Wii on the bloody brain. If there's any decent Wii games I've missed out there that you think I might need, just let me know in the comments. If there's any glaring omissions, not Nintendo ones obviously, because I've not showed them. But thanks for watching anyway, and I'll see you on the next one. All being well, sayonara.